Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. I'm your host, John Wachter. Let's get you informed. Before I start jumping right into the podcast here, I do want to apologize. I know I have not had a podcast up in over a month. I just want to get it out of the way saying that I will be more consistent, even during the off season, having at least one podcast up, if not multiple. Things got pretty hectic at work over the holidays, and I just couldn't find the time to do it, and that's on me, but I want to be more consistent moving forward. So I know if I don't put out podcasts, there's nothing to listen to, and there's no reason to really follow me at that point. So just with that said, I apologize, and I'll be back to being more consistent. I want to jump straight into this one, though. I'm very excited. It's the playoffs, and I have my own playoff bracket. I'm going to put it up on the screen in just a second here. If you want to read ahead and just turn off the video, see who my predictions are, feel free. I am going to go over every aspect of this. I'm very excited for the playoffs. It's just something about playoff football is just so much more exciting. The regular season itself is very exciting for me. I watch as many games as I can, but the playoffs are just a whole new animal. You know, any team. Well, first of all, it's just every week you can be eliminated, so no team wants to lose. You pull out all the stops, you'll see things you wouldn't see. You see players playing harder, and it's fantastic television to watch. It's just it can't miss. I don't know how anybody can't be a fan of the league. That's just me personally. I'm already I work on Saturday, and I'm gonna be home just in time to catch the games. And I just cannot wait. I'm already thinking about it. Playoffs. And just any team can do anything in the playoffs. You see a team like the Redskins. A lot of people aren't giving them a chance because of their record. A lot of people are mad that they're in because of their record. Because there's teams with better records that didn't make it. Same goes for the Texans. But either of those teams can put together a string. You only need to win 2-3 games to go to the Super Bowl, and then anything can happen from there. So, think about a team like the Cardinals from Super Bowl 43. They had no business being there. Same story. A lot of people were mad. I believe they were 8-8. A lot of people didn't think that they deserved to be in it, and nobody really gave them a chance. The next thing you know, they're in the Super Bowl. A play one stop away from stopping Ben Roethlisberger and winning that Super Bowl. So anything like that can happen. So that's just extremely exciting, and also it marks the end of me having to watch my team's abysmal season. I can't feel bad for not watching them because they're not on. So I did watch every week of their games, and it was very painful. Hopefully we can come back and be a lot better next year, but you need a losing season every once in a while to appreciate the good ones, I guess. With that said, I was not going to take any notes doing this. Because when I have notes, I tend to look at them a little bit too hard. I tend to get obscure statistics that are kind of stupid that don't really help. I mean, just things that you could look up if you're interested in that. It's not very interesting to hear. I was going to stick to that. But so if it was just the NFC, I was going to stick to that. I was just going to do it off of my knowledge of all these teams. And keep in mind, my team is an AFC team. The teams that I follow the most are AFC teams, but I just feel like I understand the NFC so well this year, and I know exactly how that side of it's going to go. Even though this is all a toss-up to me, I feel like I could do the NFC without even having to look anything up. The AFC is a whole different animal here. There's just so many things in play. It's I did a lot of research before doing this just to make sure that the teams that I think are going to win, I'm putting out there. A lot of these games are toss-ups to me, and it's just hurting my mind even thinking about it because a lot of these can go different ways. But I'm going to put myself out there. I'm going to make my predictions either way. I'm going to throw up the playoff bracket now. Like I said, you can just look at it. Just turn this off right from there if you want. But I am going to go over all these and why I think each team is going to win. So let me start off. I'll start off with the lowest seed, and I'm going to start off with the AFC side just because that's the one that I did the most research for and the one that I'm still least comfortable doing. But I'm going to jump straight into the AFC. We're going to go with the lowest seed first, the Steelers-Bengals. Very exciting game there. That's a division game. Any division game, you can pretty much just throw away anything you know about either team. Division games, you play those people twice a year. A lot of people do drafts and pick up free agents just to stop certain aspects of another team in their division because the key to making the playoffs is winning your division. And when you're playing those teams twice, if you can sweep that team, you have a good chance. A good division record, more often than not, is going to lead you to the playoffs. So you can pretty much throw anything off the table that you know about these teams. But I do need to pick, a winner for this, so I'm going to go ahead and do my best. The Steelers, to me, are just a better team than the Bengals. They lost to the Ravens. Like I said, it's a divisional game, which really just points out my opinion on that even more. The Steelers lost to the Ravens, and that's a game that they should have dominated. The Steelers are a top 3 offense, arguably top 2 offense. and they lost to one of the worst passing defenses in the entire league and got embarrassed in doing so. Ben Roethlisberger threw, I believe, 3 interceptions in that game. It just had a terrible passer rating, ruined a lot of people's fantasy championships. I know that personally, unfortunately. So that's the kind of thing you see from these divisional games. With that said, Steelers are just better than the Bengals. They did lose to the Ravens, and that almost kept them out. But thankfully, thankfully for them, the Jets lost and gave them a chance to get in there. So also, this is another team that could have won their division. They had some injuries. Ben Roethlisberger missed some time, and I think without those injuries, a couple more wins there, they could have definitely won this division. Andy Dalton is supposed to be ready for this game. This is the last I heard. It's still kind of up in the air, but the last thing I heard was Andy Dalton is supposed to be ready. Unfortunately for him, he's 0-4 in the playoffs, and that's one of his main things. He's been earlier in the season, he was having an MVP caliber season, and a lot of people were bringing up the fact that he has yet to win a playoff game. And it's not. It's something he's going to do eventually. Yes, it seems as though he is choked. He's played some of his worst games in the crunch time, but I don't necessarily believe that this guy is not capable of winning a playoff game. With that said, I don't think he wins a playoff game this year. Maybe next year, but not this year. Just the matchup is too much. Pittsburgh, like I said, top 3 actually in both yards total and points per game. I think it's between them and Arizona as the top overall offense in the entire league. You can throw New Orleans in there too, but I think that's impressive considering, like I said, Ben Roethlisberger was out and they struggled when they had Michael Vick starting at least. So they could have been a little bit better without those injuries. Bengals are a good defense, somewhere near the middle of the pack in most statistics, but they play better than that. Reggie Nelson, for instance, he leads the league in interceptions with 8, tied with Marcus Peters, who we'll have more on in a second when I talk about the Chiefs. So they got big play guys like that. They got Vontaze Burfict, who is always making big plays for better or for worse. Finds himself in the media for the wrong reasons a lot of the times, but he plays hard and every play he's just putting his best effort out there. They have guys like that. I just don't think it's going to be enough. They're going to need a fantastic game, and Andy Dalton and A.J. Green are going to have a bigger day than Ben Roethlisberger and Antonio Brown, and I don't see either of those things happening, and they're going to need a culmination of both to get the win. So I'm going to say the Pittsburgh Steelers move on to the divisional round of the playoffs. The other wild card round is the Texans taking on the Chiefs. The problem with the Texans is that Brian Hoyer is their quarterback, and he's been serviceable. They won the division, and it's a weak division, but they won it. And, past DeAndre Hopkins, who, like I said, when I did my top 5 wide receivers, I believe I put him number 3, and I think statistically he also falls number 3. But beyond him, they have no explosive players on offense, especially without Arian Foster, who's been out like 90% of the season. He's not coming back, obviously, for this season at least. Like I said, Marcus Peters also tied in the league with 8 interceptions. He was also the best overall pass defender in the whole league, like statistically, for a rookie. So he should be shoring up Defensive Rookie of the Year, which I don't want to toot my own horn, but my first video I did say that he would win that. Just throwing that information out there. He's going to have his hands full with Hopkins, though. I think he actually has a bad day against him. I think Hopkins has a pretty good day, but I don't think it's going to be enough because I think last I saw, Tom Ali and Justin Houston are both supposed to be active. There's no official announcement on Tom Ali, but the way that Andy Reid has been talking, it seems like Houston will be there. If I said Ali, I meant Houston. Ali should definitely be active. They're going to create chaos, and Brian Hoyer is... I don't want to say not good enough because it sounds insulting to a quarterback that plays in the NFL level, but he's going to have a very tough time adjusting to the pressure that they're going to be able to bring. And, Marcus Peters, even if he has a tough day against Hopkins, he's going to be able to make a big play if he needs to. I don't think this is going to be an overly close game. The Chiefs have won 10 straight games, which is absolutely insane, and I think they're going to make it 11. So, moving on to the divisional round, that would put the Steelers against the Broncos, which would be arguably the top offense versus arguably the top defense. at least I believe the Broncos had the top defense in the AFC at least, and the Steelers had the best offense in the AFC, but they're arguably best in the league at both of those. It would be an absolutely great story for Peyton Manning to win the Super Bowl and, just go out, because he's going to have to retire soon, and I feel like if he wins that Super Bowl, that'd be enough to push him out, push him to retirement. He's had a very rough year. He's been dealing with some injuries and things of that nature. Him coming in against San Diego made a big difference. He didn't light up the stat sheet, but the run game all of a sudden was very existent. He was making people jump off sides. He was making great reads. He looked like his old self. He made some key throws they needed to make. Still no zip on the ball, but that's not Manning's game. He's the kind of guy that can read a defense and put the ball where it needs to be when it needs to be there, and he was doing that. He looked good in at least that half. We'll see how he looks. After this bye week, he gets some more time to recover from whatever injuries he may have. I've heard a lot of stories that's why he had such a rough season. He had a lot of injuries and things of that nature. I don't know if that's just an excuse, the coaches or media make or whatever, or if he's just showing the age. And if he's just showing the age, that's more than understandable. Like I said, he's near the end of his career, and it'd be a great story for him to be able to win the Super Bowl and retire on a high note. That said, I don't think it's going to happen like that. Pittsburgh won last time these teams faced off. Antonio Brown had a huge game, I think over 180 yards and 2 touchdowns. It was a big comeback win with Brock Osweiler starting. But that said, Osweiler wasn't the problem. Even though he could have came up in the clutch, he had a couple of opportunities in the fourth quarter to come back. The bottom line was the Pittsburgh Steelers shredded that defense up to come back, and I think the same thing will happen with Manning. Even if Manning can come through in the clutch, I think you get the ball back to the Steelers, they're just going to do it again. They're a very tough team to stop, and they weren't able to stop them. The Broncos weren't able to stop them last time. I don't think that's going to change. So the other divisional playoff game will be the Patriots and the Chiefs. Patriots-Chiefs is an interesting game. The Patriots have been looking very bad lately, and the Chiefs have been looking very good. Conventional wisdom would tell you that the Patriots are a better team than the Chiefs, but based off the way that they're playing, the Chiefs are definitely the hotter team. The Chiefs can win this game if they get pressure and a lot of it. It has to be extremely efficient as well, because rushing Tom Brady is not always the best idea. He's probably the best in the league at these quick throws and these screen passes. It's infuriating to watch if you're the other team, or if you're rooting against the Patriots like so many people like to do. It seems he doesn't throw the ball deep very much, and that's just not the game plan. He can throw it. I remember when he was facing the Ravens in the conference championship last year. It seemed as though none of his passes were going longer than 10 yards, but he shredded them up for over 300 yards, maybe even over 400. I can't remember the statistic offhand. So he makes a ton of those throws. He's very efficient, doesn't make mistakes. If they can get to him fast enough and make him make some bad throws and some of those quick throws, maybe he can make a mistake, maybe force a fumble or something, but it's going to be very difficult. On top of that, the Chiefs' offense needs to put up a lot of points, and that's something that they don't generally do. They're not a high-power offense. They have Alex Smith at quarterback. He's more than a game manager. A lot of people say he's a game manager. He's more than that, but he's not a Tom Brady type guy. And they're going to need to come through in the clutch. Also, if it does come down to being close at the end of the game, they're going to need some big plays. Tom Brady's even more clutch. It seems like he always makes plays happen no matter who's around him. And I think Bill Belichick is just going to make a fantastic game plan for them. I think the Patriots win this one, even though I think the odds are going to be against them. It seems kind of weird to think about, but the Chiefs are going to be on 11 straight wins. The Patriots have lost, I believe, 4 of their last 6, including a loss to the Dolphins, who were supposed to get a top 5 draft pick. I think it moved them back to 7th or 8th, but they haven't been looking good. I think they get the win there, though. So that will put the Steelers and the Patriots in Boston in the conference championship, the AFC championship game. Winner goes to the Super Bowl, of course. And I think the Steelers beat the Patriots. I'm just going to put that out there right away. I think the Steelers' offense is just too good. Malcolm Butler won't be able to stop Antonio Brown because I don't think anybody can. For whatever reason, the Ravens could. Historically, I was looking at statistics after that. They've been very good against them. That's a divisional game, though. I don't think that the Steelers are going to be able to stop them. And even if they can, there's just too many weapons. You got Marcus Wheaton. You got, of course, Martavis Bryant. D'Angelo Williams has been having a great season, which was a surprise for them. They're just too potent. Steelers have downfield threats. Patriots just have these quick throws and things. Both are very dangerous, but I think the Steelers are even more dangerous. I think they win a shootout. Steelers don't have a very good pass defense, in my opinion. I think Brady could put up upwards of 400 yards and still lose this game. I think it's going to be an absolute shootout. But I think the Steelers are going to the Super Bowl, and that's what I'm seeing happening on the AFC side. Now I'm going to switch it over to the NFC. Let's start with the Seahawks and the Vikings. Seahawks-Vikings is an interesting game to me because this is a very pass-heavy league now, and this is going to be two teams that are more of a run-first team. I know Russell Wilson's been throwing a lot more with Lynch out, but I believe Lynch is actually supposed to be back in time for this game. So it's going to be Marshawn Lynch versus Adrian Peterson, which is just a dream matchup for anybody that likes running the football. That said, the Vikings are not going to be able to beat the Seahawks because I think the Seahawks can shut down Peterson. That's what they're going to game plan to do when they have the players to do it. They're going to make Teddy Bridgewater throw the ball. They're going to dare him throw the ball, and he's not going to be able to do it against the Legion of Boom, as they call themselves. Wilson and Baldwin have been absolutely on fire. Their loss to the Rams, I can't stress this enough, not a huge deal. It's just like the Steelers losing to the Ravens. Not a huge deal. These are divisional games. Anything can happen. Wilson and Baldwin, well, the whole Seahawks team, they lost to the Rams, and then, the next week they come back and just decimate the Cardinals, who are one of the best teams fighting for a 1 seed all the way to the last week. So, I honestly don't see this game being close. I don't think Bridgewater's good enough at this point in his career, and I think he has a lot of talent, but it's a very tough defense to get it done against, and I don't think they're going to be able to get it done. I do think Peterson makes at least one highlight reel play, or if Lynch is there, I think between both of them, we might get one or two just absolutely unreal kinds of plays to see. So it could still be an interesting game to watch. I advise everybody to watch all the games because, like I said, anything can happen. This one is one that kind of, to me, is kind of more clear cut that the Seahawks will win. But anything can happen. The Vikings have looked good at times in the season. If anything, a little bit inconsistent. And the Seahawks have been absolutely on fire, but anything can happen. I have the Seahawks winning this one and advancing. The Redskins, I think, are going to upset the Packers. Now, I say upset because that's what a lot of people will be calling it, but and that's because the consensus is that Washington is just the easy team to beat. Like I mentioned earlier, they are the team with one of the worst records going into it. Them and the Texans are the easy team to beat. But Kirk Cousins has been absolutely on fire since that "You Like That" speech, which is a Hall of Fame speech, and just maybe there's some magic behind it. But on a more realistic note, Kirk Cousins is going to put up big numbers, and I don't think that the Packers are going to be able to stop him very much. And I think when he puts up these big numbers, and I think they get this win, he's going to get a big contract extension in Washington, and they're going to have to build a team around him. I think they're done with RG3 after this season. I think they've been done with RG3. We kind of stringed them along. Somebody on that team likes RG3, and a lot of people don't. So I don't know what's going on with that, but I think it's finally going to come to an end. I think Kirk Cousins has played well enough to earn the full-time starting job next year. He pretty much had it this year. There were some talks in the offseason and all that, but he's played very well second half of the season. So, and just Aaron Rodgers, he can't. A lot of people are getting on Aaron Rodgers saying he's regressed. He just can't do it all. The line isn't helping him. There's been bad play by Randall Cobb, hasn't been good. Inconsistency just all around. One good thing is Richard Rodgers just looked like a very viable target for the future for them. But just for the Packers, just look to the future. I mean, this isn't a Super Bowl team this year. Earlier in the season, I was one of the people jokingly saying it as well. Let's just skip to the Super Bowl. Patriots, Packers, they were both looking so good. The Packers just completely lost their mojo. They had a chance to win a division at home against the Vikings, multiple chances to come back and win that game, and just looked incapable of doing so, even with big plays, even with Mason Crosby stripping a kickoff return. Just big plays that in the past you're like, all right, this happened. There's no way the Packers aren't going to come back and win this game now. It's just not happening this year. It's just not their year. Just a lot of hope early in the season, but it's just gone now. This isn't a team that I have hopes for winning the Super Bowl anymore, unfortunately for their fan base. Very fortunate for them is that they're going to be a great team next year, and they're going to continue to be a great team as long as Aaron Rodgers is there. He's one of the most talented quarterbacks in the entire league, and they're just going to bounce back from it, which is definitely a good thing to think about. It just isn't going to be their year. I can see any team winning any game in the playoffs, like I said, but this just doesn't seem like it's their year. So I do have the Redskins advancing, where they will be facing the Carolina Panthers. So just the quick story for this is Cam Newton might win MVP, and Kirk Cousins, spoiler alert here, he is not going to be winning MVP. I'm just going to throw that out there for anybody who's wondering. Cousins, to me, he actually has the better weapons on offense. I think he has a better offense overall around him. But Cam Newton has been making it happen all year. They're 15-1 for a reason. The reason is Cam Newton and that defense, which is way better than the Redskins' defense. Cousins is much more susceptible to mistakes against that defense than what Cam will be to the Redskins' defense. And I think those kinds of mistakes, interceptions or fumbles or just bad throws, bad reads, anything like that. And I don't think there's going to be a ton of them, but anything like that is going to be the difference. And it's going to be a close game, actually. So I do have the Panthers advancing. And I know the Seahawks just killed the Cardinals, just really embarrassed them. The Cardinals were fighting for the 1 seed, even though the Panthers wound up winning, so it wouldn't have mattered. And I think Carson Palmer was still fighting for an MVP spot. If he puts up a good game there, he has more yards than Brady. He has more touchdowns than Brady. I think it's very hard to make the argument for Brady. But he wound up getting benched at half. I do still think that the award goes to... Actually, I think the award goes to Cam Newton at this point. I'll change my mind there, but that's not what we're talking about. So this is two of the best teams in the league. The Cardinals are a more complete team to me. David Johnson has been very great for them. He's not on the level of like a Marshawn Lynch type guy yet as far as legacy goes, but he's a lot younger. And the Cardinals just have a lot more weapons in their receiving core. To me, the combination of Fitzgerald, Floyd, and Brown is better than the combination of Baldwin and Tyler Lockett. Tyler Lockett's a huge playmaker. That guy's returning punts, and it's like every time he gets his hand on the ball, he can take it all the way. He's doing crazy stuff you see in video games. He's just that fast and just that talented. John Brown's the same kind of guy. He hasn't made the kind of, he's made a lot of splash plays, but not as a punt returner or anything like that. He's just more consistent. 1,000-yard season. Floyd had over 800 yards. Fitzgerald had over 1,000 yards. Floyd had 6 touchdowns. Just a great trio of receivers there. They don't have a great tight end. The Seahawks do have Jimmy Graham, but he hasn't been very Jimmy Graham-like since he got there. He's definitely not the same guy as he was in New Orleans. With that said, Lynch should be back. If he's not back the first game, he should definitely be back this game. He'll make at least one big play throughout his course in the playoffs. I don't know if it's going to be this game or the other game, but I have a distinctive feeling you're going to see one of those beast mode kind of runs. They got him all these endorsements, just running people over, just making it happen. He's missed a lot of time this year, but he's going to show that he can still get it done in this league. I think his time is almost up, which is a shame. He's one of my favorite running backs. He plays 2 contact, which is something you don't see a lot in the league anymore, and it's just I love watching him play. Unfortunately, it's probably almost over for him, but I think the Cardinals just a better team overall. It's a tough defensive matchup if you compare the two defenses, but I do think that the Cardinals are a better defense, especially if Ty Matthew is still playing. And I think that they're a better offense, so naturally I think they're going to win this game. They're at home. They did just lose at home, but I don't think it happens the same way this time. They get a second try here to beat the Seahawks in front of their fans, and I think that they're going to do that and advance to play the Carolina Panthers. Top 2 seeds, not very exciting when you think about it like that. I don't really like. I like the wild card teams sneaking in and things like that generally, but that's just not how it's going to go this year, in my opinion. So I think it's obvious that the Cardinals' offense is better than the Panthers' offense. Cam and Palmer are both MVP candidates. And both of them are going to light it up with an awesome game. The MVP, this game doesn't matter towards the MVP race, so this isn't going to decide it. But, well, it's not supposed to. But I think if somebody puts up a good game here, maybe they get a little bit of a push. Like Cam Newton is able to just put up huge numbers and beat the Cardinals to get to the Super Bowl. I think that definitely boasts him in the MVP voting, and vice versa. But Cardinals, to me, once again, they just have more weapons. The Panthers have the better defense in this matchup. If you do the one-on-ones, and in my opinion, just having guys like Josh Norman and Luke Kuechly, just huge difference makers, and especially with Ty Matthew out. I do think, and I know I just said that the Cardinals defense is better than the Seahawks defense. I do think that the Panthers defense is better than the Cardinals defense, but I don't think that they're better than the Seahawks defense. It's all about kind of just match. I know that probably makes no sense, and I'll stop talking about it because I'm going to sound stupid if I keep going, but it's all about matchups. I think in this particular matchup that the Panthers have the better defense for this particular matchup. And I'll stop it there because I'm confusing myself at this point. For this one, you just hate to see either team lose. Unless you really just hate the Panthers for all this, all the media, the dabbing and all that, which has been very annoying. But when you look at just how the team plays, how each team plays. They're both very exciting teams to see. You don't want to see either of them lose, but I do. Well, I mean, one of them is going to lose. Uh, that's a hunch. I think one of them is going to lose, and I think that team that's going to lose is going to be the Panthers. They're not going to make it. I think the Cardinals are the team to beat in the NFC and in the entire NFL. Both of these teams are going to be back. Imagine the Panthers with Kelvin Benjamin, because that will be the case next year. They're going to be an even more potent team. They went 15-1 without him. You can only imagine what they're going to do with him. I'm not going to say they're going 16-0, but they're going to be better overall when they have more people to throw to than Ted Ginn, who big playmaker, just not the most consistent guy. And with that said, the Super Bowl for Super Bowl 50 is going to be a Super Bowl 43 rematch between the Steelers and the Cardinals. A lot of things have changed. Polamalu's gone, but Fitzgerald is still here. Palmer's here instead of Kurt Warner, so still guys near the end of their career. Well, at least age-wise. Palmer's been looking very good. Warner looked good that year too, but Palmer has looked just absolutely fantastic, and I think Palmer is just better at this point in his career than Warner is, or was in his career. No more Anquan Bolden for the Cardinals. He went to the Ravens, and then now he's on the 49ers. But they do have Malcolm Floyd and John Brown now, so the combination of those two offsets the loss of Anquan Bolden. I know we're looking back 7 years. I just it's cool when you see a Super Bowl rematch like this when there hasn't been so much time. I mean, there's still players on each team that were playing during that Super Bowl, so it's just kind of interesting to look at. Steelers' defense since then has taken a huge step back, particularly against the pass. I think that there's a very bad team against the pass. I don't have the statistics offhand to prove that, but just watching them play, they're not very good at stopping the pass. Cockrell has played better than what was expected, but other than that, the loss of Troy Polamalu and Ike Taylor definitely hurts them a lot. Still very good. Still pretty good against the run, but not a great pass defense anymore. But that said, their offense is just absolutely insane at this point. Like I mentioned earlier, Martavis Bryant, Marcus Wheaton, of course Antonio Brown. How do you even begin to skip over him? They still have Heath Miller, one of the hardest working guys in the league. D'Angelo Williams, that's without, that's with injuries, and then you got Darius Hayward-Bay to clean it up if you have a 5 receiver set. It's just a very good team all around. Like I said, these are the two best offenses in the league going at it in the Super Bowl. That's where the league is going. It's a very offense-friendly league at this point. There's so many rules in effect to stop defenders from doing their job, just so many flags to get and things like that. So we're going to see a lot more of just offenses making it to the Super Bowl. It's been like that for a while, maybe a little bit hidden because the Seahawks have been going to the Super Bowl and they've been primarily a defensive team, but even they are switching to being more of a pass-heavy team. And it's how the NFL is going. You get yourself a good quarterback and you're a good team. That's how easy it is now. It's not as easy as getting a great middle linebacker, a great safety, or things of that nature to be able to shut a side down. There's still great defenders, but it's a lot more rare in this league for good defense to beat good offense. The term defense wins championships, not necessarily true anymore in this league, for better or for worse. And maybe that'll change with additions or subtractions of certain penalties, but that's just how it's going. With that said, I want to stay on task and get to the end of this. These, like I said, the two best offenses are going at it. This is going to be an awesome game. This is going to be an awesome Super Bowl. I know I've said that about a lot of these games, but this is just going to be incredible. With that said, I think the difference is the Cardinals do have the better defense, and David Johnson has younger, fresher legs than D'Angelo Williams, who has had a great season. But I think that those two things are the difference maker. And I think that the Cardinals win their first Super Bowl. They have won an NFL championship, but no Super Bowl. Their last championship was before the merger, 1947. So it's been a while. It's been a while. There's still people alive that have seen their win in 47, could probably still recall it for you, but not too many of them. Not too many guys walking around getting ready for that next win. But with that said, that's just my prediction for the Super Bowl. I know this has been a lengthy video, so thank you for anybody that has stayed with me. I've got a ton of things I want to talk about starting maybe even this week, but definitely if not next week. Get a couple videos up every week. I still love doing this. It was very hard for me because of work. A lot of things are going to be a lot more consistent now. I'll be able to be a lot more regular. With that said, again, just thank you for listening to me. If you have, if you agree with me, disagree with me, just let me know and keep the discussion going. Keep watching me if you want to, and thank you so much. Have a great day.